Hello everybody, this is Cheryl, and yes, I'm at a different location. I am at my sewing machine. I was watching a video yesterday with Rose at Journals in Time, who is fantastic, by the way. If you have an opportunity to visit her, she is fantastic. She is just jack of all trades when it comes to journaling. And she will lead you down many rabbit holes, but they are very well worth it. Just grab your notebook and put down what video you are watching, because you will watch it several times. I can guarantee it. Anyway, hi Rose, if you're watching. While I was watching Rose, I had noticed that she was having a little trouble with her puckering when she was sewing on her sewing machine with her fabric. Now, if you've been following me for any time, or for those of you who have been following me, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. How are you all today? I kind of jumped right into that, didn't I? I really hope you're well, and thank you so much for visiting and your lovely comments. I'm trying so hard to keep up with them, and I've been really busy. But let me start over for one quick second. Now that we've gotten our hellos and how are yous out of the way. Rose was creating a cover and she was having some puckering issues with her fabric. And for any of you that have been following me for any length of time might know that I had been a seamstress. Well, I have been sewing on a sewing machine since I was in the 3rd grade. I actually made my own wool flannel jumper. I actually made my own pattern, and my granddaughters wore that, and so did my daughters. I don't have it any longer, and neither do they. God knows where it is. Anyway, wish I still did. So what I thought I would do is, I've not seen many videos regarding sewing on sewing machines and what foot to use. I've often seen the question asked, how many times do I change my needle? Or what size needle do you need to use if you're sewing on paper? My answer to that is, whatever needle comes with your machine, use that needle. That's the needle that you want to use for sewing on paper or fabric. Unless, of course, you have to put in a double needle for different stitches that you're going to use. Then, of course, you have to use different needles. Otherwise, paper, fabric, use the needle that comes with your machine. It typically comes already in your machine, you know. But what I wanted to talk about today was the foot on your machine. This is the foot that comes on your machine, okay? That is your regular sewing foot, okay? And it's, you know, just a regular sewing foot. You put it on your machine, and you can use pretty much any stitch on your sewing machine, regardless of the machine that you have, unless it's just, you know, a regular straight stitch or zigzag stitch machine, which is a very old machine. And if that's the case, you may not have what I'm about to suggest. But I know that a lot of you have the newer machines, either be it a Singer or a Brother or what have you. In that machine comes a variety of needles and feet and things that you can use for your machine. And I was just going to bring them all out. And you look at them and you say, what in the world? You know, what are all these things, and what do you do with them? But then you kind of just set them aside, because you figure, you know, well, I don't need them, because all I need is the needle, the thread, and have it go forward, backward, zigzag, or straight, which is basically all we ever do. I do some stitching that is more of an embroidery stitch sometimes, but I'm finding more and more as I go, the embroidery stitch on paper, unless I'm doing a journal card or something like that that has a thickness on it or has fabric attached to it, I won't usually use one of the embroidery stitches, because you can't really see it, and so it's a lot of thread that it takes, and also it leaves a lot of holes in your paper. Anyway, doesn't matter. Feet. Okay, so this is the foot that comes with your sewing machine, and that comes attached to your sewing machine. But if you want to have a perfect line or no puckering, then what you want to put on your machine, go into your manual. If you don't have a manual, look up online the name of your machine. Now, my machine is a Singer Patchwork, and that's the machine I use. But, like I said, everybody has their own machine. If you have, a machine that does have what's called it'll either be called a walking foot attachment, or it also could be called even feed or dual feed. I looked that up on the internet because I know that several machines have different names for different things. But for as long as I've been sewing, it's been called a walking foot. But what is its purpose? So the purpose of the walking foot, or the even feed or dual feed, is a presser foot that helps prevent multiple layers of fabric slipping when they're sewn together. And the walking foot helps. Underneath here you have feet dogs. I don't know if you can see them, but underneath here you have like this little rigid thing that's called feet dogs, okay? And that pulls the fabric of the paper through. With what I'm going to show you in a picture, with this one, which is called the walking foot attachment, what you end up getting is it pulls the fabric through together. So when you're sewing your paper and fabric, it's pulling the fabric and the paper, or the two layers of fabric, together at the same time. Whereas your regular foot is pulling the bottom before it's actually pulling the top. So you're going to get a pucker. Somehow, some way, you will get a pucker. One of the best things about what I find in a walking foot or a dual feed foot, or whatever, your machine calls it, is that it ensures that everything moves together at the same rate. So, and also keeps everything completely aligned. So as I was sewing this, I thought, you know what? I am going to set up my camera somehow, some way over at my sewing station, and I am going to demonstrate a couple of things. So the first thing I'm going to demonstrate is, here I have some lace. I've attached it, just tacked it on the top and the bottom as to where I want to stitch it on my page. Now, when you stitch, you're going to have a really pretty side, which you all know, and then you're going to have the bobbin side, which is kind of not so pretty. So what I do is, if I'm only going to sew my lace on this side, I'll actually flip it and I'll sew my lace on this side, because I want the pretty stitch on this side, because you're not going to see it on this side unless you use a different color thread, which I very rarely do. I typically will use the thread that looks closest to my lace or fabric or what have you. So I'll flip it over, I'll put it underneath where I want to sew it, and I'll press down my presser foot. And then I'm going to start off slow, and this is going to make some noise. So you can just either turn your volume down, or you can just listen. It won't take long. Now, all I'm going to do now, because I have my walking foot on, I really don't need to touch anything, because it's just going to feed everything through at the same time, and it's going to keep this completely straight. Okay? So if you want to see that I'm not telling fibs, watch. You ready? I'm going to make some noise. I'm not touching the paper. Here's my hand. I'm not touching the paper. And like I said, I am sewing this side of the paper so that I have a pretty stitch on this side, because you're not going to see it on the lace side. And then I'll just do a back stitch. Pull it through. Don't pull it hard, just pull it easy. Take your little scissors. And these are great, by the way. You should always have a pair next to your sewing machine. And you're gonna thread. Mine will back and forth when I start, so. And so there you go. So there's your stitches on that side. I don't know if you can see them. It's gonna be hard to see. And then your other stitches are inside your lace. Now, if you don't want to see any perforations in your paper, which mine didn't make, you just take the end of your scissors or a scoring tool or what have you, and you just rub it over those stitches like so, right? Just like that, very carefully. You don't have to press hard. And it takes all the perforations away. So you see no perforations, all you see is the stitching. So I'll do one more side so that you can see. And again, it's called either a walking foot or a dual purpose foot or a lining foot. I looked up all the different names of what it could be called. But just go in to your manual. If you don't have it, look it up online. It's there. And it will show you how to attach it. It's very simple. You just unscrew it, take the foot off, put the new foot on, screw it back in, done. Okay? I never take this walking foot off. There's no reason to. Any more than you would take your foot off unless it fell off. And then you'd screw it back on. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I am going to stitch again. I'm going to make some noise. See how mine backed up and then moves forward, so it automatically does a back stitch at the beginning. This is not a real new model. It's about, I want to say 6 years old. So if you have, you know, like I said, a newer model sewing machine, you will have in your box that came with all of your tools, you will have this foot. And you should always pull this way and very loosely. Don't like yank it. And then just snip. Put your threads for the next time. And then come down here and snip your threads, and then have your thread bowl next to you so you can put your threads in there. Okay, so now let me just do my next step because I'll forget. I just go along like this, and it closes up all my stitching holes. So now what I have is my pretty page with a little thread up there that I need to snip. There we go. I have my pretty page with my lace attached, and my pretty sewing stitches are on the inside because I'm not going to put lace on that side. So does that make sense? And then what you want to do, maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks, just to keep it nice. And this goes for any kind of thing that you're going to sew, whether you're going to sew fabric to fabric, or the thing I like most about it is I use satin like this. Now, if any of you know, satin is so slippery, but if you use a walking foot, this doesn't have a chance of puckering or sliding because it's going through the machine at the same time as whatever I use with it. Okay? So once a week, maybe once, you know, every couple of weeks, lift this up where you push your bobbin and kind of just dust away, because paper especially is made from pulp, from wood pulp. So you get a lot of dust, a lot more dust than you would if you were just sewing with fabric. Watch. Now I just did mine. And let's see if I'm in the camera. You probably can't see it. Hold on. I just did mine. And here's the dust that I got out of there. Oh, sorry. It's not a lot, but it's enough. I did mine about a week ago. Not even. And can you see the dust? you know, so you've got dust and thread, so you just want to kind of, let's see if you can see me here. Just want to kind of go up inside here with your little brush. Don't go hard, just kind of, don't have to go hard, just kind of dust it off, really. Dust this off, dust here, here, and every time you put in a new bobbin, you want to dust it all out, and then you want to take, you know, a soft cloth, and you want to go in there and make sure it's nice and dusted out, and then put your new bobbin in. So, but you don't have to take your bobbin out every week or month or whatever. Just wait until it runs out and do it. But every week or so, or 2 weeks, just go around it and dust it off, and you will never have a problem with your machine. Shall we do one more? What time are we? I'll do one more, because I have another page here to do. So here's my page, here's my lace, and I'm going to do it one more time. Okay? So again, oops, uh-oh. I do that all the time. I knocked my cover to that off. I heard it fall, but it's clear. Hold on 1 second. I am so sorry about that. And you know what? My floor, it's very difficult to kind of see. All right, oh, I got it. Okay, I'm sorry about that. It's always a bungle with me. So make sure that's back on. And make sure your thread's through, which it is. And I am going to put this down where I want, just so along the edge. Just hold it a little bit. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm kind of holding just the end to get it started. And look, I'm not really holding the paper. I always do. I don't guide it, I just kind of hold it down. And if you can see, that paper's not moving. Everything's moving through together. I'm so sorry about the noise. And now, pull it out. Snip. And then I just take this and run it along here. I have a nice even straight, and there we go. And I'll do it one more side while we're here. I'm going slow because I wanted you to be able to see it. I like to go slow anyway. I mean, what's the rush? I may just have pulled that over, but I may not. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. I don't think it's possible, but I suppose it is. Can you see that? Before I flatten the stitches. And then I'll just go along and flatten those stitches. But it's nice and even, nice and straight, and it looks great on this side of paper. It doesn't pucker. And I just flattened all those little holes. So I have a nice, pretty edge there. And like I said, you can use different color threads. You don't have to use the same color thread. It would look just as pretty with any color thread on the other side. I just happen to like this. It's just a personal preference. So there I have both of my laces attached neatly onto my paper, and it only took a second to do 2 sheets. And I didn't have to worry about any puckering or anything of my fabric on my paper because I have that foot in. So here again is your regular foot that comes on your machine. Yeah, it took me like 2 minutes to find that because I don't use it. And now I've got all my signatures are done. Well, I don't even know how these go. Actually, to be honest with you, I have to take them back over to my table and figure it out because I took them all apart to do all my laces. And so you want to do that before you start to tie in your signatures, obviously. There we go. And so now I have everything is nice and neat. All my sewing is nice and even along my edges where I wanted it. This one you might be able to see even better. It's nice and straight. There's no puckering. Everything looks great. Well, in my opinion. You might be like, no, it doesn't look any different, but trust me, it will make your life so much easier, and you will be using your sewing machine every day, all day. Sewing is so much fun, and it's even more fun when you know how to use what they gave you in your toolbox. Okay? So again, it is called a walking foot attachment, or I looked it up, it could also be called an even feed or dual feed. So if you look in your manual and it says even feed foot, dual feed foot, it's a walking foot. It's the same thing, okay? And yeah, so, and it will show you, I'm not going to show you how to attach it or detach it because every machine's different. So if you go online, because I checked before I came, and I went online and I looked up my machine and I said I just typed in how to attach walking foot to my Singer Patchwork sewing machine, and sure enough there was a video on how to do it. I didn't need to know how to do it because I've already done it 1,000 times or more with this particular machine, but well, I haven't because I've never taken it off, because I don't use any other stitch on this particular machine, because if I do any sewing, I use my sewing machine in my sewing room, which I've had since Methuselah. So anyway, I'm just going to put that back so I don't lose it. And I am going to wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. I really hope that this video came out well so that I can post it. And yeah, so I'll be back with more about my Beatrix Potter journal, which I've now got all my laces in. I have a few more things to sew in, and then I'll be putting the signatures in, which I promised to do on video, which I will be doing that on video so that you can see the process of how I do the hidden spine on my hard-covered journal. So without further ado, please do have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your day. That doesn't even go there. I don't know where that goes. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It's on my sewing pages. Just enjoy the rest of your day. Know that you're loved. Oops, stepped on the foot. Know that you're loved. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until then, be well, be safe, and God bless. Bye-bye, everybody.